What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, well, better yet, we have a great episode for you guys today because we're going to discuss a very age-old argument or debate about whether option selling is luck or skill. Because a lot of people, when they immediately hear the word options, they say, oh, it's gambling. Oh, you need to be lucky. You know, you can't possibly create consistent success in options, right, with options. But I'm going to discuss how, better yet, the differences between if option selling is luck or skill. And ultimately, I'll tell you guys what I think and let you come up with your own conclusions. So, if you've been following me, you would know we've had a very good week, but right now we are dealing with some turmoil today, and I'm going to discuss why. So, if you saw yesterday's video, you would know that I was calling for Bitcoin to be bullish. I was calling for this supply demand zone to be, retested, right? When you get to a demand zone, basically, what does that do? It creates demand. What does that mean? It means that there's big buyers, right? I was calling for this last night. If you want, go watch last night's video. You'll see that I was saying it, right? I was calling for the fact that the 4-hour on my favorite indicator looked extremely bullish, and it is all playing out, right? Now, with that being said, I had a thesis with Coinbase having earnings that Coinbase would also be bullish and, take us, towards 65, but of course, I was wrong. So, with that being said, I'm not out of the position, right? I'm still in the position. I still have tons of hope for the position, but of course, it's not what you want to see, right? If you've been following me for a long time, you would also know that I always preach relative strength and relative weakness. And in this case, to me, Coinbase is showing relative weakness because Bitcoin is making a move up while Coinbase did this. Now, of course, it could be manipulation, right? We had earnings, the earnings was phenomenal on Coinbase. It beat estimates by like 200% or beat last quarter by like 200%. You saw everything you wanted to see from the earnings report, and obviously we got a big dump, but I'm not going to let that discourage me because in the end of the day, I do believe in the company. I believe in the stock. This is not a position I was looking to hold for a long time, and I really don't want to, but at the same time, I do believe that it would be silly to close it here. And, yesterday during the earnings report, there was a time where we were up over 1100. I don't know if I was able to close it because I was in the covered calls. Right now, I'm still in one of them. I ended up closing the covered calls for 100 profit, which, of course, if I would have held them for like another 2 minutes, I would have made 200 profit. But it is what it is. The $1 to $200 on the covered calls is really pennies, right? It's really gravy. That's why I only did one contract now, because I did truly see this dip as a manipulation in order to make the next move up. So I would rather let it make that move up before I sell more covered calls, which is what my intention is. But I was like, you know what? Let me put one contract on the table. So with that being said, that's where we're at. Obviously, we're having a great week. We were up 6-7% on the week before this position. And of course, if you want to learn more about those trades, just watch all the videos from this week to see what positions we took. Obviously, these are the positions we're in currently. So with all that being said, let's get to the video topic, which is option selling skill or luck? So here's the thing, guys, right? Obviously, when you're playing earnings and you're doing a lot of the things that I've been doing, right, which is selling options during earnings, and we sold options during earnings on Shopify, right? We sold puts. It was a great play. We sold puts on DraftKings and we got out a little early. If we would have waited for earnings, we would have gotten the full profit and it would have been a great play. But again, still would have been a great play regardless, and we did make money off it. We sold puts on Lyft, and despite the fact that it dumped 7-8%, we were able to profit on those put earnings. And of course, if we would have sold puts during Coinbase, even despite everything it's been through, we would be up right now. So obviously, that's why I always preach selling puts during earnings. I got a little greedy and went with buying shares and selling covered calls on Connell, of all things, instead of Coinbase. But that's also because I can't afford 100 shares of Coinbase with this account size. So with that being said, in the world of option selling, in the world of doing it during earnings reports, right? Some of the other names we were looking at were DoorDash. Of course, if you would have sold puts or covered calls, you would have killed it for this earnings as well. But, there are some stocks where it didn't go well, right? Now, Reddit, it didn't necessarily go well. But again, if you would have sold puts like the 180 or 190, which is what I was eyeing, it would have done well. So, out of all the names we looked at this week, basically every name you would have made money selling puts except one, right? And that is TTD. Now, to say that we all could have seen this coming, you just can't, right? Obviously, if you would have sold puts, you'd be down 25, 30%, right? Because that's how much it fell. Ultimately, there's no way you can say that you would have saw this coming unless you knew something about the company that the general public didn't know. So in an element, in a way, it is luck, right? Because, again, there's no way to tell that this would have happened or wouldn't have happened. Obviously, Coinbase, the same thing. Coinbase absolutely destroys earnings. Everything goes up for Bitcoin. Everything looks good for crypto. Even MicroStrategy's up, MSTX is up. Like, all these names are up. Why is Coinbase falling, right? If you're watching this video and you have some insider info you can pass on to me, please let me know. I'd be happy to hear it. But ultimately, there is going to be some sort of element of luck when you are playing these earnings reports. Now, with that being said, obviously you would have won 6 out of 7 trades, 7 out of 8. Obviously, of course, the issue is the fact that when you do lose, you lose a lot more, right? Like, this one position is down basically everything I made. Now, obviously, that is partially my fault for taking a little bit more of a risk than I should have by buying shares instead of just selling cash secured puts. But with that being said, again, the TTD would have been the same thing. You would be down, maybe 5, 10 different positions worth, because with option selling, your gains are very limited, right? When you're selling cash secured puts, you might make $300, $400, $500 per trade, but you're also risking, 100 shares worth of collateral, 200 shares worth of collateral, which in this case, 100 shares, before earnings would have been $12,000, $224,000. So obviously, $24,000 would now be worth, roughly $16,000. Obviously, so yeah, your $24,000 would be worth $16,000 if you would have sold 200 shares. But in order to reduce that luck, right, there are things you can do. Ultimately, making sure your position size isn't your whole account, because if you're trading with, let's just say, a tenth of your account size, if you have 100, 200K, then yeah, this TTD play wouldn't have really wiped off all your gains. You'd probably still be up on the week, maybe close to it, maybe break even. Obviously, if you're trading with your full account size every position, which is something I used to do on this account, you will wipe out a month, 2 months worth of gains on one loss like that, which is extremely frustrating. Now, with that being said, I think when you sell cash secured puts during earnings, you are putting the odds in your favor for the most part. But when you get a play like this, again, it will wipe out so much of your gains. And ultimately, unless it's a stock you really, really love, it probably won't be worth it. Coinbase is a stock I really love, and I'm still extremely frustrated about this price action, truthfully. Like, it is not fun. Honestly, there's just nothing fun about it. So with all that being said, if you want to really make sure that when you're selling options, it isn't luck, your best bet is to stick to things like TQQQ, like SPXL. Obviously, if you have even more money, then you can stay away from leverage and just do regular SPY or regular QQQ. Obviously, here I'm just showing the futures versions, but really what we would be selling options on would be SPY or QQQ. Now, obviously, if you've been following me long enough, you would know that selling puts on TQQQ, especially for this account size, is what I think the best strategy is, right? For a $22,000 account size, you can sell 2 cash secured puts and then take the leftover money, find a leap. In this case, I found one that's, again, deep in the money and 2 years out. And then you can sell covered calls against that leap. Now, in my opinion, if you are going to do that, that is not going to be luck. You are going to make money. Obviously, if we get a huge bear market, yes, your profit might be slowed down, right? But you're still going to be very profitable in the long run, because the reality is the bear markets, when it comes to the NASDAQ, when it comes to the SPY, when it comes to QQQQ, they're few and far between. If we pull up the chart, obviously TQQQ is leveraged, right? So that's why you see this volatility, and that's why it still hasn't even fully recovered. But, when you pull up the real NASDAQ, notice how, quickly this, like, what was this? This is from December 2021 to January 23. So it was 2 years. Now, yes, those 2 years wouldn't have been fun, but when you're selling cash secured puts on moves like this, you probably could get out for profit. So that's the cool part, is even during all of this, right? First of all, the leaps, yes, these leaps would be taking a hit, but assuming you're 2 years out, all right, 2 years might still not be enough, but these covered calls would have ideally made back majority of everything you would have lost on the leaps. Obviously, in this case, I'm down on the covered call, right? But that's because the leap is up more than the covered call is down. And ultimately, it's really been that case ever since I started this. It has been a little bit of a wash. This is like a long-term thing, because think about it. if you're buying the leap and holding it, right, and it keeps going down, you're selling covered calls, all right, you'll keep profiting off the covered call. And if it keeps going up, you'll keep rolling the covered call until you can get out for a profit. So long term, this type of thing will work, and I'm very certain of it. And obviously, selling cash secured puts, even on this whole way down, or if we look at TQQQ, right, even this whole way down, these retracements would kill the puts so much that it would give you a chance to either get out or roll for profit. So even in a 2-year bear market, you still will be either making money or not losing nearly as much as you would be if you're selling individual stocks and doing things during earnings. So to answer the age-old question, is option selling luck? I don't believe it's luck. I believe it depends how you go about it, right? If you're selling options, selling puts during earnings, right, then obviously there is going to be more luck involved because, in this case, I didn't have to deal with a TTD. I am still dealing with this Con L position, which, again, it's still infuriating me, truthfully, because of the fact that, like, the earnings report was great and Bitcoin's making a move up, yet we're still, getting hammered. Like, that part is very frustrating, right? But, to answer the question, again, if you're going to be selling some sort of, or doing a wheel strategy on a TQQQ, on a NASDAQ, on a SPY, it is going to remove pretty much all of the luck. And of course, if you do deal with a 1-2 year bear market, yes, it will be a little bit more of a struggle, but you're still not going to really be losing. You're still going to be definitely outperforming a buy and holder. And of course, when it comes to the NASDAQ, the SPY, the TQQQ, the bear markets are few and far between. It's not like Bitcoin, right? Like, if you notice Bitcoin, it's like, what I like to say, there's an old saying in the market that the market takes the stairs up and the elevator down. Bitcoin almost takes the elevator up and the stairs down, right? Like, it goes up super fast and then goes down, fast, but also kind of slowly. Because if you think about it, right, look how long this bear market is. Now, obviously, this price action isn't bad for an option seller, but at the same time, I don't think selling options on Bitcoin is as optimal as selling options on QQQQ or SPY. Like, I truly don't think anything beats it. And I do believe if you're running a wheel strategy on an S&P, on a NASDAQ, it removes the luck. Now, of course, again, you are going to go through a season where it's extremely bearish. And yes, making money will be a little harder. But overall, I do believe if you have a 6-figure portfolio, you will make enough to cover a lot of your expenses. I would say almost majority, if not all of the time. And, I will say this, guys, every business has its rough times, right? If you're someone who truly needs to have stability, right? First of all, keep your job. I'm not saying quit your job to sell options. Second of all, maybe if you are trying to quit your job, then sell options, but also do something else, right? Have a different business. I work with contractors. That's what I do for a living. Other than this, right, is I get leads for business owners. And right now it's the winter, so a lot of contractors are slow. A lot of my clients are struggling, right? They're pausing their leads, they're pausing their ads because they just can't even do the work in the winter, right? So it's like, in that case, whether you're a concrete pourer, whether you're a mobile, car detailer, a boat detailer, you have your seasons where it's a struggle to make money, and the market is the same thing. So you have to be prepared, right? You can't just go into life blind saying, all right, this is going to be my end all be all. Everyone wants that one-way ticket to wealth. And I've noticed, yes, you're used to working a job 8 hours, getting a paycheck, not needing to do anything else. But if you're going to be a full-time hustler, right, if you want to sell options for a living, then you got to consider yourself a full-time hustler and say to yourself, you know what, there are going to be seasons where it's going to be tougher to make money, and I need to be prepared for that. Warren Buffett has a quote, when the bear market comes, we'll see who is swimming naked. Don't ever get caught swimming naked. I've been caught swimming naked. That's how you can't pay your bills. That's how you're stuck moving back home with your mom. That's not what you want to do. And again, if you're going to sell options, why should it be any different? So if you want to remove luck out of the equation, my best advice is to stick to a wheel strategy on QQQ, SPY. If you want to do individual stocks, sure, there's plenty of ones you can do. But, I like the TQQ because due to its leveraged asset, same with SPXL, you're going to get good premiums basically all year round, where a lot of these individual stocks, the premiums just aren't that great unless there's earnings. Tesla, you'll get good premiums, but of course there's crazy volatility, right? If we look at the chart, it's basically been nosediving since the top. It might be bouncing here, it might not, but that's the point. Is the trade-off is high premiums for volatility. And, the only way to really counter that, in my opinion, is to do something like TQQQ because of the fact that you're going to always get high premiums due to its leveraged nature. Now, again, there is going to be some volatility, right? If we do go into a bear market, it's going to hit a lot harder than NASDAQ. But, those premiums should make up for the bear market. And ultimately, I don't see anyone selling options, selling cash secured puts for years, especially doing the things I've taught on this channel and not being extremely profitable. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some insight as to whether option selling is truly luck or skill. I hope you're able to make your own conclusion. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Hopefully by the next video, Bitcoin continues up and Connell follows it. Obviously today's a frustrating day for me. Not going to let it get to me. Not going to let it upset us. We're still making great progress on the account. We're still up 30% on the month, which again, I don't want it to seem like, oh, we're up 30%. A lot of it is just recovering losses. But of course, since we started this, we're still up 5%, 11% rather. I forgot that it's already been over 3 months. But from the day we started this, we're up 11%, which, in about 3.5 months is solid. Obviously, that's not what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for 10, 20% per month every month, and I know we'll get there. If you want to see me get there, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.